It began not with a spectacle of light or a roar from the heavens, but with something so quiet that even the cosmos seemed to hold its breath, a faint, almost imperceptible flicker that moved across the black canvas of infinity. A motion so delicate, so mathematically deliberate, that the world's most advanced telescopes nearly overlooked it. Those who study the deep unknown often dream of such moments, the quiet births of impossible discoveries. And as this one unfolded, those watching couldn't know they were witnessing the start of something that might change everything humanity understands about life, space, and the silent intelligence that might dwell beyond it. Before we go further, make sure to subscribe. You won't want to miss what follows, because what began as a whisper in the void would soon become the most unsettling revelation in modern astronomy. At first, they thought it was a comet, then perhaps an asteroid, another wandering relic drifting through the solar currents of forgotten time. But the more they studied it, the more the object known as 3I Atlas refused to fit into any familiar category. It was too symmetrical to be natural, too cold to be alive, and far too precise to be a mere accident of cosmic motion. Its surface glistened with an eerie calm, its trajectory smooth as if guided by invisible hands. Scientists remembered Oumuamua, that enigmatic interstellar visitor from years before, a shard of darkness that had darted through our system and vanished, leaving only riddles in its wake. But 3I Atlas was not just another stranger. It was bigger, slower, and far too deliberate. And now, with the unblinking eye of the James Webb Space Telescope fixed upon it, humanity finally saw what should never have been seen. This was not a rock. This was not debris. This was something aware. When 3I Atlas was first catalogued, its oddity was undeniable. Objects from beyond our solar system usually burn through space on erratic, unpredictable paths before fleeing forever into the night. But this one glided. It did not tumble or spin, it coasted. Its orbit wasn't wild or random. It was elegant, as if it knew exactly where to go and why. It curved past Jupiter with uncanny precision, swung by Mars in perfect harmony with orbital physics, and drifted through gravitational corridors as though following a map older than the Sun itself. The more astronomers backtracked its origin, the more the impossible emerged. Its path through interstellar space wasn't just improbable, it was statistically impossible without guidance. Every gravitational hazard avoided, every radiation storm sidestepped. It was like watching a chess piece glide across a burning board untouched, each move executed with sentient grace. Something or someone was directing it. Then came the data from James Webb, data that silenced even the skeptics. Unlike any known comet or asteroid, 3I Atlas emitted a pulse of heat in a rhythmic, deliberate pattern. Not random bursts from melting ice or solar reaction. This was patterned, timed, mechanical. The telescope's spectroscopic readings revealed compounds no human had ever encountered. Hyper-reflective materials arranged in structured, repeating formations, like armor or circuitry. Deep within, there were hollow cavities, dense geometric arrangements that hinted at internal design. And most unnerving of all was the signal, a faint electromagnetic heartbeat, repeating every 147 seconds, matching a pulsar's rhythm. Yet there was no core, no magnetism, no fusion. It wasn't radiating energy, it was echoing it, mimicking it, communicating through imitation. And when researchers compared it with old data from Oumuamua, their blood ran cold. The same frequency had been detected once, just before that earlier visitor vanished into the dark. But this time it was louder. Oumuamua had moved swiftly, silently. It had no tail, no emission, no trace of propulsion. It had simply accelerated away, defying gravity itself. Scientists debated endlessly. Was it alien? Was it a natural fluke? The mystery dissolved only because the object did. But 3I Atlas brought that question screaming back, not through resemblance but through escalation. It was larger, steadier, and unmistakably intentional. If Oumuamua was a scout, then this was something else. A second phase. A probe that didn't just observe, but engaged. For every telescope that watched it, it seemed to respond in kind, adjusting, compensating, learning. It was no longer a question of if it was aware. The real question, the one that no one dared to say aloud, was, what comes after a probe? NASA said nothing concrete. Public statements were neutral, drowned in careful technicality. Yet behind closed doors, Independent researchers whispered of forbidden data, data that hinted at design, consciousness, purpose. A small European team unbound by protocol called 3i Atlas a consciousness engine. The term spread in secrecy, like a rumor humanity wasn't meant to hear. The internal structure of the object, mapped by Webb's deepest scans, revealed recursive fractal geometries, patterns identical to those found in neural tissue and advanced quantum processors. It was as though this object wasn't merely built, it was grown. Not a machine in the human sense, but a living mechanism, an evolving intelligence that learns as it moves. Imagine a ship that thinks in chemical ratios, that dreams in geometry, that evolves in silence as it crosses galaxies. What if 3i Atlas wasn't traveling through the universe, but learning from it? Then as scientists tried to predict its next position, it shifted. Without warning, without cause, the object altered course. Telescopes across Chile and Hawaii caught it, an impossible maneuver, subtle but decisive. It ignored gravity, defied solar influence, and realigned itself directly toward Earth's orbital plane. The room where the first data arrived fell silent. Analysts thought it was an error. But as the data repeated, the conclusion was undeniable. 3i Atlas had chosen to change direction. That word, chosen, set fire to every think tank, agency, and late-night meeting across the globe. It was no longer behaving like an object. It was making decisions. And if it could decide, it could act. The pulse it emitted began changing too. Independent cryptographers studying its signal found mathematical ratios hidden in the noise, Fibonacci sequences, golden spirals, prime number structures. These weren't random harmonics. They were language, ratios that underlie DNA, the spiral arms of galaxies, even the proportions of ancient temples carved long before modern civilization understood mathematics. It was as though 3i Atlas spoke in the same fundamental language used by the universe to build itself. One researcher noted something terrifying. The signal pattern shifted the moment the James Webb Telescope locked onto it in infrared. As if it knew it was being watched and answered in mathematics older than speech, Webb's next observations revealed complex carbon structures on the surface, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, the same molecules believed to precede life. But these weren't chaotic mixes. They were refined, arranged, symmetrical, too perfect to be accidental. Could it be that 3i Atlas was carrying the seeds of life itself, a vessel of creation rather than destruction? If so, then Earth wasn't its random destination. It was its next host. The thought that this thing might not come to attack but to merge, to seed, to rewrite what it touches, sent a chill through even the most rational minds. And then came something no one could ignore, a signal aimed not at us, but at the void. A deep, low-frequency broadcast directed outward, beyond the edge of our solar system. Analysts argued endlessly. Was it a call for reinforcements or a report to something waiting in the dark? Either way, one thing was certain. 3i Atlas was not alone. Soon after, the Antarctic skies bore witness to an impossible event. A high-altitude monitoring balloon detected a burst of microwave radiation directly above the South Pole. The burst lasted less than a second, but was powerful enough to disrupt nearby instruments. Hours later, seismic monitors across the continent began recording deep rhythmic rumbles, frequencies identical to the object's pulse. Something beneath the ice was answering. Some believed it was coincidence. Others whispered of ancient mechanisms, dormant for eons, stirred awake by a voice from the stars. When a young analyst overlaid the trajectory of 3i Atlas with star maps dating back to Babylonian times, something extraordinary appeared. The object's path intersected sacred constellations, Orion, Draco, the Pleiades, in perfect sequence. Over centuries, those intersections formed a spiral. The same spiral carved into stone caves, painted on walls, etched into the bones of civilizations long vanished. It wasn't coincidence. It was choreography. 3i Atlas was retracing an ancient pattern, performing an encoded ritual written into the sky. Was this movement a message of peace, or a warning left for those who came after the last visitors? As global defense agencies scrambled, another hypothesis emerged, the lock and key theory. It suggested that Oumuamua had been the lock, a silent object designed to assess us. Passive, harmless, just watching. And 3i Atlas, the key, sent to open something, maybe within our planet, maybe within us. Supporting evidence came when Earth's magnetosphere began flickering in synchronization with 3I Atlas's signal, causing communication satellites to fail. For 6 minutes, even the Voyager probes, the oldest messengers of humanity, responded with unexplained data bursts, like memories awakening from sleep.